Hello again, and welcome to our Zoom podcast on a pretty special Sunday. This, of course, is the Unity of White Rock Spiritual Community, coming to you live and in color. And I want to thank all the people who have opened our service for us, the talented facilitators and musician, Ron, and we expect Sue will be with us soon too. And as co-writer of this talk, Francesca, she's unable to be with us again today due to her responsibilities at her workplace, so she can't be with us this morning. But she did contribute mightily to what you're about to hear. Let's first acknowledge that we are on the unceded territory of the Semiahmoo First Nations, a subgroup of the coastal Salish. And today's talk title is We Rise Again. And this talk has been inspired by the shuffling chaos of our world, where our countries, our cities, our streets, our churches, and spiritual communities like ours have been sent into a very different state. And the title comes, of course, from the iconic Rankin Family song back in the early 1990s. Written by a country and western songwriter named Leo Dubinsky. We rise again. And let's agree that our world is in a unique place, arguably the most interesting since the end of the last World War. Adversity has come to town, bringing with it challenges unlike any we have seen in our lifetimes. And today we're going to look at some of those challenges and how, as spiritual beings, we can try to build a small platform to stand on while we brace our physical shoulders and straighten our spiritual back. Perhaps we should begin today by looking at the lyrics of this iconic song. We rise again. When the waves roll over the waters and the oceans cry, we look to our sons and daughters to explain our lives, as if a child could tell us why. That as sure as the sunrise, as sure as the sea, as sure as the wind in the trees, we rise again in the faces of our children. We rise again in the voices of our song. We rise again in the waves out on the ocean. And then we rise again. I'm sure those lyrics are familiar to most of you, and they certainly have taken on a different meaning for me. This was a song I loved. I loved to sing to my young daughter so many years ago. Let's look at the opening sentence. When the waves roll on over the waters and the ocean cries. These words now sound like a plea from Gaia, our beloved Mother Earth, whose oceans are shedding tears. Gaia is the ancestral mother of all life, our primal Mother Earth goddess, who's been gently spinning through the history of humankind. She has provided and she nurtures our mountains, our forests, streams, rivers, oceans, desert, and our two Arctics. Gaia has wrapped us in love, nurture, and support. The next sentence of the song, we look to our sons and daughters to explain our lives. To me, this is now a kind of metaphysical metaphor. We're looking to those who are coming after us to carry on the gift of our teaching. We all hold the hope they will extend their spiritual values to their sons and daughters, and so on and so on. And the next line, as if a child could tell us why. The child now is us, and we are listening to that still, small, familiar voice which guides us back to our universal power. Let me share two personal ideas about rising again. Francesca would say this: in my own way, working in retail, I am on the front line. We have been essential and are called to a higher sense of responsibility. During this difficult time, we are there to help customers by providing both necessities and protective measures. I should mention Francesca does work in a drugstore. She's a manager. But the changes that have happened, have helped me, Francesca, of course, to make changes in my personal life, such as a deeper caring for my elderly parents, and how much I miss hugging and holding my loved ones. I have worked to stay positive through my spiritual beliefs, which have helped me confront fear. And let's remember the spiritual spelling of the word fear. Face everything and rise. F-E-A-R. And for myself, personally, these recent weeks have inspired me to revisit the simple beginnings of my awakening to spiritual life so many years ago. I've been meditating more often and more spontaneously, and have based those quiet times on the reassuring reminders from my inner voice. I've also been inspired by H.D. Caddy's book, Lessons in Truth. God, the one mind of the universe, loves me and approves of what I do. And personally, I've also missed the deep connection of my chaplaincy work, sitting across from families and listening to the memories of their loved ones. This gap in my work has rekindled the importance and the privilege of the work I do in trying to provide rest, recovery, and respite to those in need. And we need those 3 R's in our life because our mortal mind is refined, sacred, and personal. And we often seem to suffer from our own sense of amnesia. Philosopher Santayana said, "Those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it." And we know our soul is the place where our memory lives and strives to help us remember. And drawing on the soul's wisdom creates expectation, which creates the future and makes tomorrow today. So our task is to reach into the unknown with courage and self-belief, which will help us all rise again. And it's interesting to note that there are phrases and ideas in our vocabulary that weren't even there 4 months ago. The term social distancing. Wear your mask. Don't forget your gloves. Those are things, if you'd asked 5 months ago what we thought of them, we'd look at you very quizzically. So the times now call for us to reach back and remember the deeply important things in our lives. And sometimes we need memories and fantasy to survive reality. The COVID-19 has served to reshape our focus. And while it may have suppressed our lives somewhat, it has given us an opportunity to go back to simpler times and simpler experiences. Perhaps a simple place where gardening can take place more often, maybe baking, homeschooling. And I think homeschooling, I'm sure it's been difficult for many parents, but it also would create a new and different bond with your children. And of course, maybe some of us have spent more time, been blessed to spend more time with our pets or hobbies, writing, reading, music, things we never seem to have time for, things that are full of hope. And let's hang on to some of them as we move forward. Nelson Mandela said this: "Our human compassion binds us one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future." And again, from Caddy's book, helps to explain this phenomena that we're experiencing so well when it says, "The spirit within you is the divine mind, the real mind. For without it, the mortal world disappears, first as a shadow disappears, and then as the real thing can disappear." We can't guess the future or what the new norm may hold for us. However, we have new songs to sing now. An unchained melody, which can take us back to our place of real inner power, back home, the most important place in the world. In this frightened atmosphere, let's brush off our courage and stand tall. The important things in our life have not changed. They may have slimmed down, but kindness and service in the form of love to others has not changed and never will. We have an inherent greatness and a holy connection within us, waiting on our attention and implementation. We are whole and holy, and we will rise again. Let me close with some word music from an interesting source. Little piece of lyrics from Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. "There's still time to change the road you're on, and it makes me wonder. And if you listen very hard, the time will come to you at last, when all are one and one is all, and we are buying a stairway to heaven." And finally, these words by wonderful motivational poet and just purely beautiful person, Maya Angelou, said this: "Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope. I rise, and so can we rise again." Thank you, gentle people, and go in peace.
She was a slip of an innocent girl, long, long ago, in an innocent world. She met a boy in uniform, and he seemed steady and good. He asked her to marry, and she said she would. Back when the world was small, back when two good hearts in love conquered all, when dreams grew like daisies on green little yards, back when the world was small. They had the children after the war. He'd say 5's enough, but she would have liked more. Christmas to Easter, summer to spring, and so it went year after year. And yes, they were happy their way clear. Back when the world was small, back when two good hearts in love conquered all, when dreams grew like daisies in green little yards, back when the world was small. Oh, the children have grown, found husbands and wives. She sees them at Christmas, they have their own lives. Their father passed on, it's been 2 years this spring, and she still has to go through his things. From back when the world was small, back when two good hearts in love conquered all, when dreams grew like daisies in green little yards, back when the world was small, when dreams grew like daisies in green little yards, back when the world was small, back when the world was small.
Thank you, Sue. That was so heartwarming. Such a peaceful song. And thank you, Ken, for those words of wisdom and inspiration. We need to hear that now. So now it's our time for giving and receiving. Behind the scenes, your spiritual leadership team is actively working to establish an online presence for Sunday services to continue supporting your spiritual wellness and growth. In recognition of our ongoing efforts and expenses, you are invited to be an active partner in the divine flow, substance, nature, and presence that we are, that unity of White Rock is. As we give, so do we receive. This is the universal law of giving and receiving. It's only when the flow is in both directions that we thrive. So let's contribute easily and regularly, even when we aren't meeting in person on Sunday. Here's 3 ways to do it. First, you can use the link on the email or website under Give. Secondly, you can make an e-transfer to unitywhiterock@gmail.com. And finally, you can mail your check to Unity of White Rock at P.O. Box 375, 800 15355 24th Avenue, Surrey, BC, V4A 2H9. And that's the snail way of doing things. So I invite you now to hold your offerings in your hands as we bless them together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give joyfully and easily, for God is my source, and abundance is my nature. Please join us now in singing, You've Got a Friend.
When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing, oh, nothing is going right. Well, close your eyes and think of me. Soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. Will you just call out my name? And you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You got a friend. If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow, we'll keep your head together. We'll call my name out loud, and soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. Will you just call out my name? And you know wherever I am, I'll come running, yeah, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You got a friend. Now ain't it good to know that you got a friend? People can be so cold. They'll hurt you and desert you. They'll take your soul if you let them. Ah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name. You know wherever I am, I'll come running back to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You got a friend. You got a friend. You got a friend.
So we gratefully bless these gifts, knowing that they support our mission to expand our consciousness and transform our lives to make a difference in this world. Amen. Silent Unity is a prayer ministry that serves people of all faiths, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Call Silent Unity about any need, day or night, and a loving friend will listen to you and pray with you in confidence and in reverence. All you have to do is call 1-800-NOW-PRAY or 1-800-669-7729. At this time, I invite you to go within and pray for someone or some situation and see that prayer float into our Unity prayer box. Please join me in blessing our prayer box. As we go into the sanctuary of our hearts, to the place where we know the truth, we see outcomes to our prayers being fulfilled in ways that our human mind is not capable of fully understanding. We know that we can trust the divine mind, the creator of all things, to bring about the perfect outcome to our prayers. And for this, we are grateful. Amen. So next Sunday, our guest speaker, or our speaker, will be Desiree Stevens, and Lawrence Kirby will be our musician. Zoom in for Wednesday's Spirit Share, Tea Time, Meditation and Collaboration. We will share fun and inspirational songs, stories, and poems, and enjoy a relaxing guided meditation. You can see all the information on the link in our email, and you use the same link as you did today to get into Spirit Share. There's a great new course coming up offered by Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute called Healing and Wholeness, and it starts on June the 2nd. And it consists of 5 sessions of 2 hours each, and it's at 5 p.m. at Vancouver time. I hope you will join us. And if in these times you find you might need a little extra spiritual support and virtual hugging, please reach out by email to unitywhiterock@gmail.com with your request and your phone number, and either Reverend Pat or Reverend Rona will contact you and set up a time when you can share on a deeper level. Please stay on Zoom with us for virtual coffee time and sharing conversation. And it was wonderful being with you today. After our prayer of protection and our peace song, of course. So we'll start with our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, Spirit are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And join us for coffee and conversation.
Yes, Sorry,